Hey there, MuggleCast listeners! I am back to inform you of some excellent news. GoDaddy.com is having better deals than ever. For only $3.59 a month for 12 months, you can get GoDaddy.com's Economy Package. With 250 gigs of bandwidth, 5 gigs of storage, and up to 500 email accounts, you can get your own website up and running with success. And as usual, enter code MUGGLE, that's M-U-G-G-L-E, when you check out, and save an additional 10% on any order. Some restrictions apply. See site for details. Get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com.
Today's MuggleNet podcast is brought to you by Borders. In May, thousands of Harry Potter fans descended upon New Orleans for the Phoenix Rising Conference. Borders was there to take in the sights and share a lively discussion of the series that has bewitched the world with some of Harry's most dedicated fans. Listen in and watch the action yourself. Check out the Phoenix Rising Borders Book Club discussion at bordersmedia.com/Harry Potter or click on the Borders banner at the top of the MuggleNet page. Because we've got some controversy on our hands, this is MuggleCast episode 118 for November 3rd, 2007. Alright, we're going to start the show this week with a new segment here on the show. It's called Listener, Please Stop Listening to Our Show Email of the Week. This is a brand new segment. It may be the last time, or, you know, it could be the first of many. Anyway, this is from Alex P. of Fresno, California, age 16. Keep that in mind for when we get to the email part. Heard of us through iTunes. The subject is gay Dumbledore equals bad. Her message: on episode 117, you were talking about how Dumbledore is gay. I was extremely disappointed when I found out. You guys were saying that people that were opposed to that were immature or needed to get more open-minded. It's really not right to say that someone who does not support gay people needs to grow up. People are entitled to their own decisions, but that was a bad decision on Dumbledore's part.
Oh my god.
Oh god. It should have said, but that was a decision on your part. Anyway, she made it worse than it already is. She goes on to say, homosexuality is morally wrong. There's a reason that gay couples can't have children. It is against nature. Gay equals bad, evil, perverted. End of email. Anyone else want to respond to this first?
Well, gay people can have children, they just adopt.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would like to hear what you think about sterile couples, heterosexual couples. Apparently, people who can't have children are evil and perverted.
No, they're just against nature.
Oh, okay. That too. Alright, well, good.
Jeez.
So, thank you, Alex, for that email. And, listener, please stop listening to our show. I'm Andrew Sims.
I'm Eric Skull.
And I'm Laura Thompson.
Micah Tannenbaum is in the MuggleCast News Center with the past week's top Harry Potter news stories. Hey, Micah.
Alright, thanks, Andrew. Casting for extras in the 6th Harry Potter film, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, took place recently, where many young students lined up before the casting team. Marketing manager Sharon Bird said, "The whole experience becomes a huge part of school life, and children really enjoy being a part of what is probably the biggest movie series in history." During the first 48 hours of its release, the French translation of Deathly Hallows sold 1.15 million copies. This breaks the previous record of 800,000 set by Half-Blood Prince. J.K. Rowling updated the news section of her official site on Wednesday, saying that she could not approve of companion books or encyclopedias to her series. The Harry Potter author and Warner Brothers filed suit in Manhattan court against the Harry Potter Lexicon owner, Steve Vander Ark, and several defendants for publishing an unofficial encyclopedic companion to the Harry Potter series, saying it infringes copyright and attempts to cash in on the successful brand. The Harry Potter Lexicon is slated to be released by RDR Books on November 28th. Roger Rappaport, the publisher and owner of RDR Books, said the companion novel only promotes the sale of J.K. Rowling's work, and we intend to publish on schedule as planned. In addition to being able to view past Wizards of the Month and door openings, as well as a few new prizes, another update was made to J.K. Rowling's official website, in which it was announced in the news section that not only has Jo written the tales of Beedle the Bard, the book of fairy tales mentioned in Deathly Hallows, but also that the 7th of these rare handwritten items will be auctioned for charity. The charity that Jo has selected is The Children's Voice, and the book will have a starting price of £30,000. Finally, Equus, the West End play starring Potter stars Dan Radcliffe and Richard Griffiths, is coming to Broadway in September of 2008. The production was rumored to move over to the United States, but some wondered if Dan would be able to do it because of his Half-Blood Prince filming schedule. The Daily Mail also has an article on the story and notes that rehearsals are set to begin in August. That is all the news for this November 3rd, 2007 edition of MuggleCast. Back to the show.
All right, thank you, Micah. A few interesting news stories to discuss this week. First of all, it was announced Friday. Good news for all you Dan Radcliffe fans in the New England area. Dan Radcliffe and Richard Griffiths are coming to Broadway for Equus.
Now, doesn't that... Now, here, I have a
Yay!
question.
Okay.
Wouldn't you feel insanely disappointed if you found out that they were coming to Broadway for Equus and you had spent hundreds of dollars to fly to England and see it when it first came out?
well, no.
On the West End.
Unless...
I mean, I would feel incredibly stupid.
To be honest, I did not think of that at all when I read this story. I was happy for Dan, and I'm still happy that I went to England because we did that podcast for fans too. I think that was the same time that I was out there.
Too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so what are you saying, Laura? Those fans didn't deserve the first ever live England MuggleCast?
Okay, you can't make inferences like that. That's ridiculous. I would never say anything like that. I'm just digging at you. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Oh, okay. Well, no, to be honest with you, I'm glad I went to see it in England because it's the West End. It's a very cool place to see it. It was one of the. It wasn't one of the first shows, but it was the first time they were putting on that play with Dan in it.
So you were one of the.
I thought it was worth it.
No,
If you went and saw Dan in England, you were one of the sort of the upper echelon, the first couple million fans who saw him naked, and now so all the the New Englanders, they're just getting sort of what's left of Dan after so many prying eyes,
Sloppy seconds.
I'm gonna be like, whenever someone goes and sees it up in New York, and they're like, "Oh my god, I saw it," I'm gonna be like, "Psh, that was so last March."
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. No, but
So, is anybody gonna go see it?
Yeah, I will.
Are you gonna go see it again, Andrew?
I'll see it again. Yeah, I mean, it's in New York City. Like that'd be stupid if I didn't go. Laura, would you see it now that you're in this
absolutely.
area?
I'd love to go up and see it.
And Richard Griffiths, I'm
Great.
glad that Richard Griffiths is also coming back because I've heard amazing
He's
things.
worth
He's
it.
totally, I mean, just from what I saw. And he was in, also, guys, The History Boys. Are you guys familiar with that play?
Yes.
Yes, he's really good in that as well. And I mean, I haven't seen him in much, but I've seen him in that as well. And it's just, I really like Richard Griffiths. I think he's really incredible actor.
Yeah, I agree. There are a couple issues that this raises. First of all, personally, I think the American audience is going to be a lot younger, for starters. I mean, I honestly think there's going to be a lot of teenage Harry Potter fans showing up for this play, especially the first couple of weeks. I just think it's going to be primarily, maybe not primarily, but it may be close to the majority of
I disagree,
people
Andrew.
who attend will be Harry Potter fans. Just because, I think the fangirls here are different. They'd be more into making sure they go see that. You disagree, Eric?
Yeah, well, I mean, just look at the amount of people who came to New York, even though they weren't getting into the reading in October,
Yeah.
Just like, and you look at all the groups of people on Facebook who are like, I'm going to go to New York for this random event, even though I'm not getting in.
Yeah.
So it just wouldn't surprise me if all these people that we know get together and just fill up a Broadway theater.
Well, Andrew, you've seen the
together.
show, so would you say it's like a I don't know, I'm gonna say coming of age tale because that's sort of like December Boys, but is it like, I mean, it's dark. It's a dark play,
It is very dark. Yeah, I think once people actually get in and see it and they feel the mood of the play, they may not go like, when Dan comes out, they may not be like, oh my God, Dan! They'll treat it
like art.
As an adult. They'll be adults and they won't like scream when Dan takes his pants off. Stuff like that. Because it is a very serious play and I think they will look at it that way.
So, I mean, if they're intelligent enough to take the serious tones with it, then yeah. But I mean, it's not the easiest thing just to waltz in and see a Broadway show. It does cost a bit of money. You have to know where to go to sort of get the seats.
The Ticketmaster,
Oh yeah,
like
fair enough. But I mean, like I said, I would see it even if Dan Radcliffe, well, no. I was going to say that if Dan Radcliffe weren't coming to Broadway, but Richard Griffiths was, I still might go see it. But then it'd be somebody else, like, just getting naked, and I'd be like, okay, that's kind of creepy, so never mind.
Well, one other issue I think this raises is Half-Blood Prince is released November 21st. So if this is starting on Broadway sometime in September, and the film is supposed to come out 2 months later, how long is Equus actually going to be running? I mean, it could only be for like a month.
But some Broadway shows go forever.
So are you saying?
Well, this isn't so much a show. It's not like a musical in that sense.
But I mean, stuff doesn't just come and go there, does it?
No, I don't think so. But there's gonna have to be a break of at least a few weeks because Dan's gonna have to go back over to London for the premiere. He's gonna have to probably go to LA for the premiere. Although maybe since he's do you think the premiere's location, the U.S. premiere's location, would be influenced at all by Dan being in New York City in the first place?
It could be. And I mean, they're usually in New York. It was a little bit odd that they did it in L.A. this last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did a lot of things differently this year, but they did have the Chamber of Secrets premiere in L.A., if I'm correct.
I felt like they did two premieres, or maybe it wasn't for Chamber. I just felt like they did one in New York and one in LA for Chamber of Secrets.
Maybe they did.
I don't remember.
Were you gonna say something? Sorry.
But you are right about that. So
yeah, I mean, it's maybe I guess they can take a break of a few weeks and then go back into it. But then you gotta wonder. I mean, isn't Dan gonna want a break after the movie comes out?
No,
he's gonna be busy doing all that press.
By this point, he's a trained actor. He's done it on Equus. Why would he even say yes to doing it on Broadway if he wasn't ready for sort of doing it 6 months, on end? I mean, what they usually do, and I guess on Broadway, is they have like stand-in actors. They'll have understudies that will come up and sort of do the role if he's gone. And if you think about
that's true.
If they time it correctly, I mean, so the show itself won't come to a halt, just because Dan has to go to world premieres. He'll just miss, certain showings of it, and people will just know to stay away if they don't want to not see him.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how bad that would suck if you went with the expectation of seeing Dan and you just booked your tickets?
Didn't that happen to
Leaky?
They didn't see Richard Griffiths or something? Somebody had an understudy that was going.
Oh yeah. When Melissa and John went, they didn't see Richard Griffiths.
And that's upsetting.
For the record, to clear something up real quick, you were right, Laura. They did have a New York and Los Angeles premiere for Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, because I almost won the Be on the Red Carpet thing for that. That was cool.
Oh really?
Yeah. It was Kids WB, the television channel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have to watch like Pokemon and wait for the secret code?
You did. You wait for the code.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah, and I got a poster out of it. I did want to win a promo poster, but
cool. That was worth it.
Yeah, some 8-year-old won the actual prize. So
yeah. So that's it with that. We'll continue updating everyone with more developments. I mean, I guess the only other news we're going to wait to hear is exactly what Dan Radcliffe's plans are going to be, especially around the Half-Blood Prince movie release, and also where the play is actually going to be, which theater. I mean, it's also worth noting, I guess this means that filming is going to be done by early August at the very latest, because Dan's going to be in the United States come August for
Well,
rehearsals.
filming only takes about 4 months, maybe.
No, it's longer
Doesn't
than
it?
that,
No,
isn't
on
it?
these it's a lot longer. They said it's like 11 months.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
Well,
It-
I know Natalie Tina, Nymphadora Tonks, and like sort of and Lupin and all of them are filming in November of this year, though. So this month
Well, yeah.
is when they're going.
But I mean, Dan's everywhere, so it has to he has to take a year to film.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That is great news because it has been a rumor for a while, and I'm sure all the fangirls are looking forward to that. I know I am. I'm not really. I mean, whatever.
And
I'll get a ticket if you guys want to go. I'm not gonna make it a special priority.
And
Yeah, sure. And then next thing you know, you will be. So.
Well, I don't know.
No, I'll probably go. It'll be fun.
yeah, we should all go together.
Yeah, use it as
And
an
then we
excuse
could talk
to
about it
hang
on
out
the
again.
podcast all over again. We can talk about it on the podcast again. Like Jamie
yeah.
and I already reviewed it.
Yeah, we'll do a podcast.
So in other news now, there were some good stories this week. I like this the news week. Something sort of depressing, I guess. There are no more Wizards of the Month on jkrowling.com. Or at least it can be assumed because the calendar on jkrowling.com, which was for the past since the site started. It's been over 2 years now. Maybe over 3. It was I think there's 42 wizards total. So for the past 42 months, there's been wizards. Now it's replaced with a Wizard of the Month archive, and you can go through all of them and see all the pictures and descriptions. So we had talked last month. We wondered, now we're up to Harry Potter. What wizard could come after Harry Potter, being featured as Wizard of the Month? And that explains it. No wizard can come after Harry Potter. So, now we are without Wizard of the Month on jkrowling.com.
That stinks. You know what I wonder?
I mean, if they go into archive mode.
Did she ever do any other characters like Ron and Hermione?
No.
On those? I don't know. I figured she would have done them.
Well, for those of you who are MuggleNet savvy, you will know that we've always had a Wizard of the Month archive up on MuggleNet. I've been maintaining that section since I started. I joined on MuggleNet. That was my big thing. I was like, Emerson, I have an idea. Let's make a jkrowling.com info section. Emerson was like, great idea. Do it. So I did it. And
we should all share our stories about how we got hired sometime. That could be interesting.
Yeah. Well, we might as well this show because it's not.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing going on.
And then there's also a room requirements archive up now. So those are 2 big parts of the site that are now gone. And I guess.
So does this mean that I can take the wombats?
No, I think the wombats are long gone too. I don't think you're gonna have any luck doing that. But hey, let's see. There's some other news. Yeah, there's another book, and out. Someone my friend back here at home the other day, it was like, see, she is doing an 8th book. It's like, no. J.K. Rowling is going to auction the Tales of Beetle the Bard. It was in Deathly Hallows, and now she hand wrote it, and she drew her own sketches and such inside of it. So it's going to be quite the collector's item. Of course, there's only going to, maybe I'm a little confused about this whole story. Are there 7 of these books? It's the same thing. They all have the same stories in them, or each book. Oh, okay. Because I always thought each book had a different story, but I guess not.
No, I think they all have the same stuff.
Yeah,
and she
but
gave
are they
6
all
of them.
handwritten?
I
Did she
don't know.
handwrite the same
that would
story
be-
7 times?
Then again, she
Yeah.
did sign 2,000 books per
It's just
reading, so.
yeah, she really likes. But that's what confused me. Just the terms, like handwritten items. I was like,
Well,
whoa.
yeah.
But I assume that just as opposed to typed, so they can sort of have a copy of her handwriting, and
Yeah. Well, sorry, I'm just reading what's on J.K. Rowling's website right now. I don't think she says. I therefore decided to handwrite a limited number of copies of the Tales of Beetle the Bard. So,
Wow.
yeah, and
They're probably not that long.
yeah, and she said each has a dedication.
well, no,
so,
I assume
yes.
Interesting. Do you guys think though that we'll be
No.
seeing these? Assuming somebody with.
No.
Like, do you think we'll ever see them?
No, because she gave 6 of them away, and
Yeah.
she's auctioning one.
Well, somebody else. I was just reading on. I think it wasn't ABC.com. It was just one of the news sites said J.K. Rowling to publish first non-Potter book. Actually, that was AOL. It said J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, that was a very misleading title.
That was incredibly misleading. That was like, what the heck? Because it says, JKR to publish first non-Potter book. And I'm like, first of all, it's not even published. There's only 7 copies in the world. And it's like, wow. I'm just completely... The news is just completely wrong and misleading in this case.
Right.
As it very often
Right,
is.
but this is just another example. I mean, they say first non-Potter book, and I'm like, wow, is this really a non-Potter book to begin with? I mean, that's debatable. Because I think the stories are... Babbity Rabbity and her cackling stuff. I would pay £62 million, or £62,000 to read that, but...
I'm sure they're going to be very clever. I would really enjoy seeing this. Okay, so one more news item that we want to touch on, we don't really want to get into because at this point it is semi-controversial, but as many people have been hearing, J.K. Rowling and WB both have filed a lawsuit over a companion book that basically is an entire encyclopedia to the Harry Potter novels. This is coming from the Harry Potter Lexicon, hp-lexicon.org, which is a great resource for Harry Potter content. I mean, characters, timelines,
yeah, and
everything.
Jo said that she's used it to check facts before, too.
Yeah, she's called it her natural home. She was a huge fan of it. And, Steve Vander Ark has great reason to brag about it. It's very complex. It's very in-depth. It's a very, very, very good resource. However, as it turns out, the creator, Steve Vander Ark, had decided to turn it into a book, and the general consensus is that it's basically the book that's going to be released is basically a entire copy of the website printed. So of course this raises concerns over trademarks and copyrights, because how can you write a Harry Potter encyclopedia without using WB's trademarks? WB owns all Harry Potter words. Like, we couldn't sell MuggleCast t-shirts because we were in violation of these copyrights just by having the word Muggle on our shirts, even though it was MuggleCast. So we're going to see how this whole story plays out. It's very interesting, and the RDR Books, the publisher, is still planning on releasing this book. I am not going to lie, I will be purchasing this book, because now all this negative publicity has gotten a lot of people interested in the book. What are your guys' thoughts?
They can change the cover to the book that JKR tried to ban,
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I think that they're not making a very smart move by continuing to publish it. If you look at the kind of lawyers that WB and JK Rowling are going to have, I would not want to mess with that.
My initial
personally
thoughts on when I heard this, I was thinking, well, it wouldn't be so bad to have a sort of, definitive encyclopedia of what did happen in the books. We're talking stuff that's already in the Harry Potter books that is just an easy reference guide for saying this is all the times that we saw Aberforth, or all the times he was mentioned, sort of something like that. It would be something altogether, and on JKR's post, it would be something altogether different than what she was going to do with her Harry Potter encyclopedia, which I hate calling it that to begin with, because it would actually be just a bunch of sort of stories and loose ends that never made it into the books, right? Timelines and ideas, but ones that weren't actually in the books. So Steve's book is apparently all the stuff that is in the books, a compendium, a lexicon of sorts of, to borrow the title, of what did happen in the books. And I thought, well, those two things would be entirely different, and therefore they could coexist.
I think the point is that the content that he has on the lexicon that he was planning on essentially printing in book form is free and accessable to people on the web. But essentially what he would be doing is selling information that it's not even like there's original theories embedded in it. It's that it's just strict information from the books, and that's why it's a problem.
Right, and J.K. Rowling has specifically stated that if it was an analysis book looking at Harry Potter, for example, the MuggleNet book, that was never in any sort of legal trouble because it wasn't an encyclopedia of sorts. It was analysis of what was going to happen. It wasn't threatening anything J.K. Rowling would be publishing in the future. I mean, that's another thing. J.K. Rowling, like, when she says she's writing this encyclopedia, does she mean it's only stuff she hasn't included in the books before, or does it include everything plus the stuff we haven't heard before?
Do you really think that JKR could be, I don't want to say accurate about what she's written in the past, but I mean, she's messed up when she's written the books sometimes, and...
Yeah, but I think if she's writing an encyclopedia, she's going to reference
But that
books.
Seems kind of pointless because the books are it's in the books. The information in the books is in the books.
Yeah, I don't really think that we're going to have stuff like, in year 1, Harry did this. Like,
yeah.
I don't think we're going to have that.
I just wonder right now how she's actually going to lay this book out.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are saying, and this is, I mean, I have people IMing me like 5 times every hour saying, WTF, Joe is suing Steve, and all sorts of stuff. Like, I mean, that is the thing. It is a hot issue, and that's why it was smart to mention it on here at least. But you guys, I'll just plug. Leaky Cauldron has the full article of. It even mentions the lawsuit itself, all of the legal terms, and it has a timeline of itself on there of sort of the Warner Brothers trying to contact Steve and sort of sort this stuff out. I think you guys will find, and I'm just going to say right now, I do actually, despite the initial feeling, I do support this lawsuit because Steve's publisher, RDR Books, are seriously stupid. They have made some seriously bad moves, completely, horribly wrong, rotten moves, and they're dodgy as hell. And it's absolutely, if you guys read this, seriously, just think, I mean, I feel bad for Steve. I think he's going to lose just because his publishers are just so dumb. Because they've refused to give a print copy of the book to WB. They said, well, if you can't print out what's on the website, ask one of your people to show you how. Okay? Mm-hmm. So can they blame Warner Brothers for thinking then that the book will be an exact print version of what's on the website and becoming more worried?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, what is this all about? Money. I mean, obviously, this could be a big seller. I think J.K. Rowling and WB realize that. I mean, it would be a great reference book to have right here when we're talking Harry Potter. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, but then again, I mean,
But I think the problem is that she wants to write that encyclopedia to benefit charity. She doesn't. She doesn't even want to keep the royalties at all. She wants to give them all to charity.
No.
I'm
saying the reason RDR is being such a pain about this, why they're not giving up, is because of money.
It's because of money.
They're going to lose a hell of a lot of everything, not just money, but they're going to be like the guy who sold out Indiana Jones 4. They're never going to work in that town again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're just going to, I mean, I just can't believe the publisher, just like reading the details on Leaky and reading that news post where it has all of the, nasty things that RDR is doing. I feel bad for Steve, but at the same time, his publisher has just made some very wrong moves. Like, I just can't believe any publisher, any actual publisher can be so stupid to take on Warner Brothers like this without actually offering any sort of rebuffing of Warner Brothers' claims.
Yeah. I mean, J.K. Rowling and WB both hold some very powerful lawyers, and I think they will get I think they will get whatever they want. So,
yeah, but it's not like what they want is unjustified, as many people are feeling, is what I'm saying.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. But, what I'm trying to say is just add to your case that RDR Books is digging themselves into a deep hole.
Kind of like a hole that, goes all the way down to hell.
But to be honest with you, now there's so much controversy. I'm really looking forward to checking out this book.
Yeah, you know, like RDR, and I don't want to say I gave them the idea, but copies are probably going to surface. I mean, look at how close it is to delay date. I mean, publishing date. That's the problem. See, I originally...
Well, they said they're still going forward with it. They're still going forward with publishing.
Jesus, that's like such a bad idea, though. But...
Well... I mean, anyway, it's what does bug me a little bit. I mean, I'm not taking it personally because I had nothing to do with the MuggleNet book, but RDR Books published an FAQ on their website where they ask, where they're addressing questions that everyone has, and they specifically reference MuggleNet. One of the questions is, why do Warner Brothers and Ms. Rowling want to censor the Lexicon book when dozens of other readers' companions are on the market? And RDR's response is, at the moment, books published by Penguin, MuggleNet.com, SparkNotes, Broadway, Hampton Roads, Ulysses Press, and many other publishers are in print around the world. At least 46 such books are presently available in bookstores and libraries. Obviously, none of these books have been enjoined by the courts, including books that have borrowed word for word from the lexicon without the author's permission. In addition, countless magazine and newspaper articles have appeared about the Harry Potter books. One question I have, come to think of it, SparkNotes. What's the deal with SparkNotes? Do they have
SparkNotes? They do, but the thing about SparkNotes is it again offers analyzation.
Oh, right.
And it offers summaries. It's not taking direct passages from the books. It's offering summaries as a study tool.
Yeah.
And then you go into the symbolism section and it'll pick symbols out of the books and analyze them. So I think, again, the difference here, and Jo even made this distinction on her site, is there's quite a difference between a companion novel and an encyclopedia. Because a companion novel does reference the ideas from her books, but they are purely that. They're just references. Writers of these books are using them in order to make inferences and opinions, whereas just taking basic facts from the books and publishing them is copyright infringement. So
I think it's also, I mean, you said that it would be great to have a book right next to you and sort of thing. Well, we're always at our computers when we're recording MuggleCast, so we can technically always go to lexicon.org.
Mm-hmm. And the Lexicon is a great site.
I mean, no, Jo herself
really
loves it, which is why I'm sure this must be tearing them up because of this lawsuit. I think it really was based on the leaky timeline and stuff of the lawsuit. It was really actually a last resort of sorts because of RDR sort of dodging. I mean, Warner Brothers and JKR talked to the publisher and we're pushing a lawsuit basically, and then RDR requested a little bit of time off from the whole deal and took that time to turn around and sue Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
So RDR filed a claim against Warner Brothers that says that they used Steve Vander Ark's timeline on the Lexicon for one of their DVDs. Now, what do you guys think about this claim? Because I recall that timeline being on the DVDs because I hate it, but I recall it being on the DVDs.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I don't really know what all specifics went into that. But just thinking about it, how different could the two timelines be? It's the same story. I mean, I don't know if...
Well, no, the thing is that WB got it from Steve. They asked permission.
We know that, but we know that for sure?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
But, I mean, that's, Steve gave them permission to use the timeline that he took the time to put together. Steve did not get permission from J.K. Rowling to print and make money off of all of her information that came out of her head. That's,
and I mean, back to the, I mean, I think there should just be like, I don't know, what's the best way to do this? Like, do you think if they actually do, if they are able to give sort of the profits of the book to charity, do you think she'll let them publish it?
I think if that's what was going to happen I don't know.
There's been no talk about that happening, though. At least not
well, just
publicly.
because RDR is so stupid. Jeez, I'm laughing at these publishers.
And see, I have a feeling that if there had been an intention for the royalties to go to charity, it wouldn't have blown up.
I'm saying
like
if
this,
Steve could somehow, I mean, I don't know if he is even in control of this thing. I feel like JKR and Steve aren't even sort of in the middle of this. I feel like their lawyers are batting at it because of all the screw ups and stuff. And if you read this article, it's just a big mess. And it's like, wow. I don't even think, even if Steve wanted to sort of donate the book's profits to charity, I don't think his contract with his publishers would let him do it unless his publishers fell through, which JKR can probably ensure will happen. But at the same time, what does that mean for the book? Like, I didn't even know this book was coming out until it was being sued.
Yeah, well,
yeah, I didn't know either.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really knew. What's interesting is that J.K. Rowling on Halloween made a very suspicious post on her site saying, I really love fan sites. It's why I created the Fan Site Award. However, I cannot support or approve of any companion or encyclopedia books because, as most of you may know, I'm working on my own encyclopedia, and this would just be taking money away from charity, and the ultimate losers would be the charities. And nobody knew about the Lexicon book at that point, so I have to be honest. When I read that, I was like, "Is she talking about the Bonnet book?"
I know. I IM'd Andrew, and I was like, "Oh my God,
something
what
big
happened?
is about to go down, man. All the companion books ever are about to be pulled from people's houses. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, but it didn't make sense to me because because the book has been out for since what, like when did it come out?
Almost
April?
a year ago. No,
Earlier?
it was out last Christmas. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to click the news post right now. October 20. Oh wow, yeah, it's been just over a year. Yeah, so we were all thinking that, and then I was thinking, what other websites have a book? And of course, as is well known, Melissa Nelly over at Leaky is working on her book, but it's not a companion book or an encyclopedia. It's an analysis of the fandom, and I also know that a couple of Wizard Rockers are working on their own books. But that's not analysis or companion or encyclopedia book either. So, an encyclopedia or companion book. So, it had us worried about MuggleNet a bit, but hey, we're all good now.
Because we know it's Steve. But, look, honestly, guys, I mean, and there are other companion novels, and this is what sort of people do have done. I mean, there are other companion novels. I just think that why JKR has allowed them and not this is in many reasons. I mean, I heard it described as we do certain, and it's actually JKR wrote this, that some of these out for analysis as opposed to sort of concise material directly quoted from the books, because RDR publishers have not given Warner Brothers a single reason to believe that the book won't infringe on copyright, because they wouldn't give them a copy to review beforehand, because they wouldn't, even answer any of their claims, and then turned around and tried to sue them back. It's seeming and very openly, blatantly that Steve will be infringing on copyright.
Yeah. So I guess we'll leave it at that for now. We'll see how this story plays out. We weren't really sure whether or not to talk about this because the story's still unfolding and all that, but I think we addressed it. Yep, fairly, fair enough. So, with that said,
wow
is right. Wow is right.
Andrew, we have mail time. Right? Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail. Muggle mail. Muggle.
We have announcements first.
Oh. Announcements? God, we didn't even do those.
Yeah, there really aren't. It's sort of the same thing every week now. But hey, here's a new thing. It's a new month. It's now November. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, it's the worst month ever.
Why is November the worst month ever?
Because it's cold, it's dreary, you have to eat turkey with your family. It gets dark
so
really
horrible.
early.
You poor baby.
Not here it doesn't, Andrew. I'll tell you that. It's almost summer here. I'm waiting for it.
Well, whether it's dark or not, don't forget to vote for us on Podcast Alley. We ask for your vote of support once a month, so we're high up there. Over at Podcast Alley, which a lot of news media outlets check out when they want to see who is popular in podcasting. And with your guys' support, we have been up there, so thank you very much. Also, MuggleCast ringtones are for sale, and they're the only thing WB hasn't ceased and desist us for yet. So make sure you check those out. They go to support the show, and we're trying to save up some money for future podcasting events. Oh, and also of note, Hedwig's theme, the rocked out, cracked out Hedwig's theme is now available.
Now, who's the artist who wrote that? Isn't it Advanced Potion Making?
Yes, it's Kenneth. And he agreed to allow us to put it up. So we thank him mucho maximo. So check those out if you want them on your telephono. No Verizon support. We'll work on that.
So now, Butterbeer by the Keg. That was last week's show. Is that correct, Andrew?
Yes.
What was our... Now, it sounds kind of ominous, like Butterbeer by the Keg. Butter and... Because you've got your butter, you've got your... But what was that show actually about?
Weren't you on it?
Yeah, I was. I'm just trying to lead in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was about Dumbledore being gay, and of course we got a lot of feedback about it. A lot of people liked that show. A lot of people said it was the best show we've ever done. And
thanks, guys.
Wow.
I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. We're glad everyone enjoyed it a lot. At the same time, we also did get some negative feedback, but the positive feedback far outweighed it. People like that we were speaking in a more mature manner. We had we were treating the show a little more adult-like because we were talking about adult topics, and they were glad we were talking about that. And at the same time, throwing a few funnies in there. Some people didn't like those funnies, but overall, the general consensus was it was one of our best shows. So we did get a lot of feedback. The first email address is something else other than Dumbledore being gay.
This comes from Alyssa, 16, from Wisconsin. She says, "Hey guys, love the podcast. I'm just writing because in episode 117 you were arguing about how Ron could know how to say the word open in Parseltongue when he only heard Harry say it in the second year, but actually he heard Harry say open in the 7th book when he was telling the locket to open. Also during the 7th book, Ron kept showing signs of being good at imitating people's voices, such as when they were in the Malfoy's dungeon and he imitated Wormtail's voice." This is what I kept trying to tell you guys, and I kept getting cut off
because you weren't
week.
articulate enough, Laura. Now that you've got your reference in book 7, you can blow us away.
Well, sorry, Laura.
You just did, because I forgot that this had happened, obviously, in book 7, so, I mean, if you would have told me that...
I was like, but wait, didn't he imitate? And then everyone's like, no.
Okay, we're wrong. I was wrong. Laura, I was wrong. You were correct.
You are wrong.
You were correct, and that, Ron is good at imitating voices, or at least Wormtails. Well, you live with a rat for 11 years, you think you'd be able to imitate his voice, but anyway, I still think we should have seen the Chamber of Secrets and that Harry should have gone down, and that'll just be my opinion always, in that whole thing. That just Ron and Hermione going down and sort of the backstory was not good enough for me, which is fine. It doesn't have to be, but that's always going to be my opinion, sort of whether or not.
Mm-hmm. And then we got another email here, Heather 17 of Singapore. She writes about our main discussion last week.
Should I read this? All right, next rebuttals from Heather, age 17, from Singapore, and subject is wrong information from MuggleCast 117. She says, "Hello, you mentioned in MuggleCast 117 that it's illegal to be gay in Singapore. It isn't illegal to be gay in Singapore, but it is illegal to engage in gay relations. So, yeah." Anyway, great show. So let me clarify. It's not illegal to be gay in Singapore, but it's illegal to engage in relations, guys. So, yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, that same law has been in effect in a few states in the U.S.,
Well,
too,
no, I think it's different, because I've actually heard there was a story of some Australian kid who got caned for doing something like that. I mean...
Yeah, I know, but I mean, they're basically saying, oh, you're allowed to be gay, but you can't engage in any sort of sexual relation. Like, I don't know, it's just a stupid.
Well, at any rate, I think Singapore is pretty strict. I think so. That's really strange. But thank you for clarifying, Heather.
Okay, so we got some other feedback. A lot of people had things to say about Christianity, or at least what our response to Christianity, and a lot of people got the wrong impression, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, a few people did. We talked a lot about the Bible last week, especially Leviticus. Those Christians who are what am I trying to say here? Those Christians who reference the New Testament, we weren't referring to them. We're talking about the more fanatical Christians who abide by the Old Testament. And even though we know the Old Testament is really used mainly for study now, there are still a lot of people out there who try to reference those rules in order to get their own issues with homosexuality put up on a higher pedestal, I think. I mean, do you guys agree? Like, I feel like that even though Leviticus isn't supposed to be viewed as anything more than historical at this point, at least that's the impression I've gotten, it seems like a lot of people try to use old traditions in order to prove that homosexuality is wrong. And those were the people we were referring to.
Yeah.
Not Christians who are accepting of homosexuals. We weren't talking about you at all.
Right. Yeah, that's well put.
And was our consensus that if you don't support homosexuality, you are, by rule of thumb, immature?
No, I mean, listen. This podcast is a very opinionated podcast. I mean, that's all we do is speak our own thoughts on everything. So it shouldn't have really come to a surprise to everyone when we were talking about it with our own opinions. I do see how some Christians may have become upset. I'm Christian. A lot of people, we've gotten some emails saying none of you guys are Christian. I'm Christian. However, I'll be honest and say I'm not up on the Bible and how to interpret what was said in the Bible with today's current, how we all live today. So, with that said, again, this is a very opinionated podcast, and if you have different opinions, that's fine. We're just getting ours out there. That's, you listen to the show for our opinions and news.
I think a lot of Christian, what do I want to say? Divisions, or I think a lot of Christian groups are of the policy live and let live, though, and that was the whole thing, accept God's love, and God loves everyone sort of the same, and it's just live and let live of that thing. And I mean, I was raised Catholic. I'm Catholic actually, and so I sort of know. I mean, I know a lot about this religion thing, at least from the Catholic standpoint, and I know they don't support gays, but they do things to little boys. So, I mean, it's just, religion is just, and using your religion to ban practices and say that certain people are just going to go to hell, that's not really, I don't think that's very productive.
Yeah, and there seemed to be a misconception that we were saying that if you are adverse to homosexuality, you must be a Christian. That's not what we were saying. And we weren't saying the opposite either. We weren't saying that all Christians are adverse to homosexuality. But what we were saying is that if you look at the main group of people who are against gay rights, especially in America, they do tend to be Christians, albeit they are...
but you know what that is, Laura?
Extremists. They are extremist Christians, but we're not saying that all Christians are that
is what you're saying. You're creating a stereotype.
It's not... No, I'm not saying that all people who are against gay rights are Christians. I'm saying that the majority of people who do protest gay rights tend to be extremists.
And use it for religious purposes, because that seems to be the best reason for them to...
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this all relates back, guys, because we are talking about Dumbledore being gay, and sort of its effect on the Harry Potter fandom is sort of what... the reason why we were talking about all this, heated sexual politics and stuff. But, I mean, we have a few responses as well about Dumbledore and sort of how that affects the books in the fandom still.
Yeah.
You guys...
I guess we'll get to them now. The first one is from Stephanie, 19 of Illinois. She writes about all of this. She says, okay, while listening to episode 117, I heard reference to an email from a Christian listener responding to J.K. Rowling's revelation about Dumbledore's sexuality. I myself am a Christian, but my personal views on homosexuality are very different from that listener. I have friends who are gay. My relationship with them most definitely did not change when they quote-unquote came out. What my religious beliefs are don't factor into how I relate to them or how I view them in any way, shape, or form. Likewise, my views on Dumbledore underwent no sort of change, though, as Eric said, I'd prefer not to think of him as sexual at all. This would have been the same if Joe had suddenly revealed that he was in love with McGonagall instead of Grindelwald. I would also agree with that. Also on this topic, I was having a conversation with my raised in a conservative Jewish home stepmother, and she told me something interesting. As pertains to the Old Testament of the Bible, the problem that the Bible has with homosexuality is similar to the problems it has with contraception. It's more that a man would be wasting his seed, if you will, than anything. At any rate, views like the ones voiced by the other listener just piss me off. Dumbledore being gay has nothing significant to do with his part in the series. It's merely something interesting about the man himself. Oh, he's gay. She could have said anything else about him, and my ultimate reaction would have been the same. I am sorry, though, that he had to be in love with someone like Grindelwald. Not because he's a guy, just because he's, well...
Yeah, we did say that was tragic.
Pickles, etc., Steph. So that was a good email.
Yeah.
That was a very good email.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. Just Grindelwald is sad that Dumbledore is is in love with somebody so flawed. and obviously evil, and that Dumbledore has to suffer that when he ends up killing his sister. So that's really messed up.
Next email from Eric's buddy Eric with a K.
Next email, next Muggle mail comes from Eric, age 35, from Los Angeles. He says, I commend JK for her creative decision to make Dumbledore gay. Fits perfectly with their story and helps us understand the tragic hero that much more. But the outing of Dumbledore raises some questions. I disagree that she was using this as a way to stand up for gay rights. To me, it was her revealing her creative process. If she truly was standing up for gay rights, a better choice might have been one of the Weasley boys, Cedric, or even Crumb. They had a mother and a father, and or a pretty normal childhood. It is very interesting to me that she used a character with a horrible home life to be gay. His brother did God knows what's with goats. Mother and father weren't supportive and subsequently killed. Those ridiculously ignorant people out there would say, see, gay is a choice or is a byproduct of a messed up childhood. Do you guys feel this was the best choice of characters if the point was to promote gay activism? And that's the end of the...
I don't think it's kind of hard to specify on this front, but I don't know that she was specifically trying to promote gay activism so much as just show that people are different.
Right.
And that we're not different by choice, that there are things about us that we don't have control over. And a lot of the time you'll hear writers talk about their characters as though they don't have complete control over them. You know how writers will say, like, my character wanted to do this, or I couldn't stop my character from doing that. Whenever I think of it in those terms, it makes me think that maybe Dumbledore just came to her gay. Like, that she didn't choose his sexuality, he just was that way. And it wasn't going to be right for her to try and change that just for the story, you know?
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, as J.K. Rowling has said herself, she didn't see this as being a big deal. She has always thought this, allegedly, in the back of her head, but she never saw a need to release it because she didn't think it was going to get the unfortunately, the press that it got, and also the reaction from fans. I think you're right, though. I think if you read in between the lines, I think one of Joe's intentions may have been to make people who aren't so much for homosexuality realize that, hey, you know, anyone can be gay, and it doesn't really change them. I mean, Dumbledore wasn't what some may say would be like a stereotypical gay person. Like, you know, people will go back and read the books and try to find signs that suggest that he's gay, but you won't find a single one.
Well, I mean, I
I
thought that this was particularly clever because he said, well, if you want to sort of support it a little bit more, you should make one of the Weasley kids gay, or sort of thing, like to bring that. But that issue again, and this is something that hides on the outskirts of the fandom. It's not really. I mean, besides fan fiction, it's actually sex of any sort, even between Harry and Ginny, is completely not even alluded to. Unless you support in Book 7 that Ginny did more than kiss him, which I heard, but is complete, non-canon.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Let's keep moving along now, though. We have another email from Kimberly Lai, 12 of Singapore. Another Singapore email. You know, we do have a good following in Singapore, I have to say. We seem like we get a lot of emails.
I don't think we can podcast in Singapore. These people might be caned for listening to us, so we should be extra sympathetic.
Yeah. Kimberly writes, Dear MuggleCast, the recent news about Albus Dumbledore being gay had not much impact on me, as I didn't really think that it was that important. After all, Jo was asked a question, and hence she answered it truthfully. I praise her for that. I really didn't mind. But now, my mom and dad found out about that and are really mean about it. As we are a Christian family, my parents aren't really supportive of gays. I myself think it's against my morals, but bear no grudge against gays, but I really don't know what to say. Now, my parents are thinking of banning the books from me, and I really don't know what to do. I really have to find a way to convince them that Jo is not sick and that Harry Potter does not go against the Bible. Please help! Anyway, love the show, and keep up the good work. Love, Kimberly. This goes back to a segment we did a long time ago called Advice with MuggleCast.
Yeah.
I think it was just me and Ben and I, and we did it for a little bit, but it was just the same questions over and over again. But this is a new one, so this is good. What I'm interested to hear what you guys think. What should she tell her parents?
Well, Jo herself actually said that there are a lot of references to Christianity in the books. I mean, it's really kind of hard to escape that, especially with a British book, Like the quotes on the tombstones at Godric's Hollow were from the Bible, and there are a lot of comparisons that can be made between Harry's story and the story of Christ. So I think that maybe if you presented some of those to your parents,
so you're saying presenting Harry's tale as a tale of sacrifice to be much aligned with Christ's?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And even just the good morals of Harry Potter, whether they're related to the Bible and Christianity or not, whether they're
obviously,
they're just good
Laura,
morals.
saying that the book has morals, with them already knowing that Dumbledore's gay, obviously doesn't seem like it is a valid claim if your parents are biased.
I guess. Well, I mean, the thing is, if your parents are completely biased against the gay thing, you might. And I mean, it sounds like they are. You might have a problem if you can't convince them that there are other themes in the book that are worthy. I'm not saying that she needs to convince her parents that they need to change their views on homosexuality, because that's their prerogative. I don't agree with it, but, I mean, I'm not going to tell them what to do. But maybe if you can present some other morals in the book that they can agree with. If anything, I am always an advocate of you should, if you can read it and you can understand it, you should be allowed to read it. So I don't know if you have access to a library, but and I'm not trying to promote people disobeying their parents, but I really think it's wrong for people to try and censor books from their children.
No, and well said. But I mean, I think it's also important to point out that this Dumbledore thing is extra canoniness, extra, like, it's outside of the books. Like, this is something Jo threw in after the books had been written, and whereas people are now going back and trying to find some proof or evidence, it's nothing. In my opinion, there will be nothing definitive because it's ambiguous in the books. Dumbledore, just because she said she always saw the character as gay, you can't prove that by any of his actions in the books, with the exception of the letter that he wrote to Grindelwald. You might see more into it, but Dumbledore never abused Harry, never had any of the, never, and we talked about this last week, it's unfounded. So, whereas JKR, it's nothing for your parents to worry about, because it's not, that JKR's opinion did not affect the books.
Yeah, I agree with that, definitely. That would be the first thing I would tell my parents if that were the case. And finally, an email from Michelle, 40 of Texas. She writes, "Hey guys, so can we please move on? Great point! Dumbledore is gay. It is not a major part of the HP story, and I am a HP fan. If I wanted to debate and argue about important philosophical and political ideas in the real world, this is not the podcast I would be listening to. By the way, if you are looking for another character that is possibly gay, I say Wormtail is a safe bet." Okay, now Michelle, if you want us to stop talking about it, why would you bring up another point for us to discuss? I don't get that. Stop talking about it. But if you want to talk about another character that's gay,
if you guys are going to be philosophical, I wouldn't.
And see, the thing is, I don't think that it was unfounded that we talked about the philosophical and political ideas.
I do disagree with that point.
it completely relates to what's going on in the world.
People
and I
who
don't see
listen
the
to this
problem
show
with
were
bringing
looking
some
to
of
us
them
saying,
the
"What do
show.
you guys make of this? What are we going to think?" I mean,
you're right, and it relates to Harry Potter completely. I'm just, but she, a lot of people. At this point, we'll stop talking about it unless something new develops. I'm sure we're going to get a million more emails about it. I will say we have been getting a ton of feedback. I don't think we've ever gotten this much feedback about a particular show, ever. Every time I check the MuggleCast inbox, we're literally getting a new email every like 10 minutes about something else that we said, and they're adding up. We're getting quite a few. So. Thank you, everyone, for your feedback. We have been going through all of it. Fortunately, we do not have the time to reply to all of it and put it on the show. Otherwise, we could do another 200 episodes.
So guys, is Wormtail gay?
But thank you, everyone.
Michelle asked us a question. We have a right to answer it. We have a sort of responsibility. Yeah. Why does? I think this is unfound. This is not. Wormtail. Why? Just because he's. He's bullied a lot, but then that goes with what one of the other rebuttals was saying. Are you going to say that gayness only comes from those who are bullied, or what? I'm just,
Yeah, that was my thing.
I'm just seriously,
there's nothing founded. I mean, as much as we try to analyze other characters to see if they're gay, we're never going to know because there's no hints of any sort of homosexuality in the books. None whatsoever.
Really
So.
I mean, I just don't think he'd be that great with girls, but it doesn't mean he's gay. It just means he's kind of pathetic and wimpy.
Yeah. Anyway, we don't have any voicemails this week, and we don't really have a main discussion because there was more news and things to discuss from last week. However, we're going to start our second new segment today. It's called Pickle Crime Stories. A few of you emailed this in. This email in particular came in from Christy McGuire, 22 of Westchester. Oh my God, Westchester, Pennsylvania. She found this article on Comcast.net, and it's been making the rounds all over the internet. Man gets probation in pickle assault. Out of Niles, Michigan. Talk about being in a pickle. A judge gave a 35-year-old man probation in a case that police said involved an assault with pickles. According to police reports, the pickle problems began when Bobby Lee Bolin
of Buchanan.
Bobby Lee Bolin of Buchanan was hanging out at his then-friend Jody Lee's home in Buchanan on August 20th. Bolin went to the refrigerator and helped himself to some pickles. He must have been listening to MuggleCast at the time. According to the report, Lee told Bolin he couldn't afford to feed everyone and not to eat his pickles. Bolin then began yelling and swearing and stormed out, according to the report. Later, Bolin barged back into the house and got into an argument with Lee. Lee told police Bolin slammed him down on the couch and then threw 2 large pickles at him and said, "Here's your damn pickles." Bolin also shoved former friend J.W. Romansky III and beat Lee with a telephone when he tried to call 911, according to the report. 2 counts involving Bolin's assaults were dismissed, as was a charge of cutting or interfering with phone lines. A court judge was quoted as saying, "If this is not the silliest case I've ever seen in this courtroom, it is certainly in the top 10. The fact that it's silly doesn't mean that it's not serious." Defense attorney Robert Lutz said alcohol appeared to be at the root of Bolin's problems. Bolin's sentence included 54 days in jail with credit for 54 days served and 1 year of probation.
Something Judge Judy would kick ass debating.
Honestly, oh my gosh.
He hit me with pickles.
Your pickles? What, the pickles? Interesting. Very interesting story out of Niles, Michigan. Just goes to show you some people and their pickles. Here at MuggleCast, we are fully supportive of using pickles in any way,
as
shape,
weapons
or form.
and defensive objects, boomerangs, even. What are the
or funny promotional items or catchphrases?
Yeah, especially catchphrases. Seem
yeah,
pickles. The quilted pickle.
Okay,
upper.
So I think we'll wrap up the show today with Chicken Soup Earthquake Edition.
Okay, this comes from Anna Luna, 13, from San Jose, California. She writes, "Dear MuggleCasters, around 8:15 on the night of Tuesday the 30th, I was listening to MuggleCast episode 49 while sitting on my bed and doing my history homework. All of a sudden, my bed started shaking. My dad is redoing the garage right now, and I share a wall with the garage, so I simply thought that he was sliding something against the wall. But then I heard my mom running in the room across from me, and I heard her shout, 'Earthquake!' and then watched as she ran to stand in a doorway. That was one of the scariest moments of my life, running to my doorway, clutching my iPod in my hand. Then I ran outside. Luckily, nothing too heavy fell in my room, and none of my family was hurt during the 5.6 earthquake. Thank you, MuggleCast, for being there for me during one of the scariest moments of my life. I'm forever thankful. Love, Anna Luna."
So
that was nice.
I'm glad she wasn't too shaken up.
It's very scary, this whole earthquake thing. Now, speaking of scary, guys, we have. This isn't. I mean, we missed Halloween because Halloween wasn't on a Sunday this year.
Oh yeah, we should have talked about it, or we should talk about it.
Well, we still can because it's only an hour in, and
yeah,
you know.
So, what was everyone for Halloween? Eric?
Well, I ended up just blickling for Pickle Pack in an orange and black shirt. So I was a personification of the popular Halloween colors for Halloween. And I must say that was the most spaced out I've ever been for Halloween, the most obscure topic, because last year I was Peter Pan, and the year before that I was Luke Skywalker, and the year before that I was something else. But yeah, so basically I didn't dress up because I had no parties to go to, no friends, so I had I had an orange and black shirt on, and you guys can see and I did 3 blickles in that. So that was pretty cool. But that's what I did for Halloween.
Cool. Laura, what were you for Halloween?
I actually did not do anything on Halloween. I handed out candy from my dorm room. But actually, I'm in a seminar class right now for first-year students called Horror in Fiction and Film. And our professor actually took us to his house and had a murder mystery dinner on Monday, and I was a maid.
I thought you were...
More specifically... What?
I thought you were going to say you were amazed. But you were a maid.
No. Yeah. So, yeah, I was a maid, and I was unfortunately not the killer in the dinner party. I was very disappointed.
Who died?
I wanted to be the killer. It was a dinner based around the idea of like being on a movie set of a horror film, and the person who died was like the big main actor behind it, and so they're all trying to figure out who did it. So,
yeah. Oh, okay. You mean who done it?
Yeah.
Well, I was Hillary Clinton for Halloween.
Were you really?
Yes. I was Hillary Clinton with a manly touch. I didn't really, I had time to go to the costume store and get the Hillary Clinton mask, but then I also got this, pimp hat, it was a yellow and pink, felt hat. And, and then I showed up with, I got this necklace too, but it was way too long. And I did all that, and I wore a sweater vest and some nice jeans, and I went to a Halloween party where I got completely,
candy.
I had a lot of fun, and I completely showered with candy. And then, that was it. Oh, so when I walked into this Halloween party, I walked in. I was a couple hours late because I was actually seeing Order of the Phoenix that night too. They were playing it at my school, so I walked in and everyone was like Hillary, and I gave everyone a presidential wave. When you sort of cup your hands and or what is that, the Queen wave or something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that but then I couldn't breathe under the mask or see anything, so I took it off right away. So that was it. That was my Halloween. Everyone may remember that a couple of years ago we had my listener challenge was to dress up as me for Halloween, but I don't think anyone did that this year. Someone did it in my school, but not a listener.
Someone at your school. Your school has a cult following. One of its clubs is the Andrew Sims fan group, and it's at your school. And all the underclassmen still dress like you. Yeah.
So it is.
But you were Harry Potter for Halloween, weren't you? Last year?
Yes.
That was
I
funny.
was, and I was going to be Harry Potter again this year, but I couldn't get my costume in time, so.
Yeah. I mean, I could have just done that, but I figured that'd be a cop-out, so.
Yeah, that's what someone else told me, if I was, especially again. And Eric, I'm sure you're like Harry Potter every day. You're walking around in that cloak.
Yeah, everywhere I go.
Do you remember when we were in London?
And Eric walked around in his cloak. Yeah,
and we were just sitting there like, did he see us?
Oh, when was that? I'm forgetting that.
It was when we first got to the hotel.
Oh yeah, when we first got to the hotel, Jamie and Laura and I are checking in, and this kid with a Hogwarts cloak walks in, and I won't lie, Eric, we were sort of embarrassed. We didn't really want to associate ourselves with you, given what you were wearing.
Right.
So we ignored it. We pretended we were waiting to check in, and we were having problems checking in because of a credit card issue. And we were like, oh my god, hopefully he doesn't see us, walks over to us, and it's going to look like we're even crazier, not to mention our credit card's not working, but we have this guy walking around with a cloak with us, but apparently he didn't see us.
Yeah, well, it was funny because that same guy, the bellman or the valet guy, who also did the valet, now he was at the desk for holding your bags. So if you were waiting to check in, as I was, because I arrived at the hotel probably 2-3 hours before the other MuggleCasters were due in, and so I had a bit of time to kill, and it was really hot, and I was like, well, okay, so I have nothing to do. I'm going to go down and check out Waterstones. And so I did. And there were all these fans, and I was like, wow. So I'm going to go back to the hotel, and I'm going to change. So I used the back room, sort of back elevator area, to grab my suitcase, where all the suitcase was. And I asked the guy, I said, well, what's the best thing, what's the best way to do it? And he's like, okay, well, I'll just put you back here and just, change whatever you need. And so.
Well, there was a bathroom. There was a bathroom in the lobby,
There was a bathroom, but there was something that prevented me from using it. It was just, so I was in the back with the suitcases, and I put on my robes, and meanwhile, the guy's waiting for me, and I'm just putting the socks and the undershirt and the vest and the tie and the cloak and the wand and so I'm getting it all together, and he keeps checking back. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm in this, so I burst out into this robes into the lobby of this hotel, and no one cared, no one looked. So I assumed I was invisible when you guys came in. So
I'm sure they're used to it in London. I feel like.
Yeah, really. That's gonna. Well,
there's probably a lot of American tourists that
Laura,
come.
what upsets me is right before we left, I did run into 9 3/4, but the video never really caught, and we had to.
Yeah, I had to take that video like 3 times.
I did it 3 times too, and my toe freaking hurt. I broke my toe doing that, and I don't have video of it because I was unimpressed with how I did it the first time, and then the other 2 times the video didn't take. So.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, well. Anyway, do it again one day.
Yeah, so that was our Halloween. And
Halloween's just not that exciting when you're older, you know? It's not the
It should be though. Like honestly, like Halloween, people should not let Halloween die. People, there was talk about Halloween dying. Everybody now is creepy in the world, and you get, sort of tainted candy, and I don't know many parents that take their kids trick-or-treating and stuff anymore. Like, I still think it should be a big deal.
There's plenty. There are plenty of them.
Yeah. Awesome. Because the whole thing with my neighborhood was everybody grew up, so there were no more kids, so the parents never took them around anymore, and, that was just sort of thing. Like, all the people in my neighborhood moved in around the same time and had kids about the same age, which was great, but now it's obviously, so it's a little bit less, popular for Halloween.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm noticing.
Well, hey, I think that's about it for us today.
I have a bunch of studying to do tonight.
Come on,
no, me
it's
too.
8:30 on a Friday night. What else would Laura be doing? But studying.
Okay. Let me just take a second to defend myself here.
No, let's not. That's too much time. We're running over time, Laura. We gotta edit out.
We're out of time. Hey, Laura, what is the P.O. Box if you people want to send us some parcel mail?
It's P.O. Box 3151, Cumming, Georgia 30028.
Thank you, Laura. Say no more for the rest of the show. You can also call in a voicemail, question, comment, or listener rebuttal. Just use one of our 3 numbers. If you're in the United States, you can dial 1-218-20-MAGIC. If you're in the United Kingdom, you can dial 020-8144-0677. And if you're in Australia, you can dial 02-800-35668. There's also the Skype username MuggleCast. You can just download Skype for free over at skype.com and give us a call. It's a free internet telephony, so it's wonderful. You can also visit MuggleCast.com for a handy feedback form to contact any one of us, or you can use our first name at staff.mugglenet.com.
Woot woot.
Don't forget our community outlets. We have MySpace, Facebook, YouTube, Frapper, Last.fm, Coming Soon, forums, and the fan listing. You can also dig the show at dig.com. Vote for us once a month at Podcast Alley and rate and review us at Yahoo Podcasts. Oh, just a small thought before we wrap up today. Since we're going to try to hang off the Dumbledore's gay stuff from now on, I mean, we'll still include an email or two, but don't fill up the email box and voicemail box with just that kind of stuff. We can talk about more things that J.K. Rowling said at the reading. We're open to doing that. No pun intended. And, so some general feedback would be nice. General questions, comments, main discussions would be nice. And I believe that's it for this week's episode. Next week, maybe we'll come back with some voicemails. Maybe. And some more fun content. We're trying to get Jamie back on the show. There is a good chance that his internet, well, I won't say good chance. There is a chance that his internet is working, is capable of doing the podcast from his dorm at Durham. So, we'll continue working on that. Maybe he'll be back, because we still haven't heard what he thinks about this whole Dumbledore's gay situation, although nobody seems to care anymore, so...
God, it's amazing how much people care one week and then the next week.
But we just talk them out, I think.
And fair enough,
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, completely fair enough.
Maybe I'll add a poll. Maybe we'll update the poll and just ask if people are bored of it, just out of curiosity.
Well, I would wait a week. Wait until next week's show comes out. And then
wait until we release this one, so we don't know that nobody wants to listen to this week's show.
Exactly.
So anyway, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you to our transcribers for transcribing these shows every week. Thanks to everyone. Thank you everyone. Most importantly, thanks to transcribers. Thanks to listeners.
That's so sweet.
Oh, because we'd be nothing without both of us.
Thank you everyone. Happy
It's
Halloween.
true.
Oh, do you guys like pumpkin pie? You guys like?
Hey, we don't thank the transcribers and then keep talking more.
You don't
It's a bad idea.
like pumpkin pie?
Oh, that's true.
Who doesn't like pumpkin pie?
They're gonna come kill us
I love
in the
pumpkin
night.
pie.
No, I love pumpkin pie too.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Next week's main discussion will be pumpkin pie. Okay, so once again, I'm Andrew Sims.
I am Eric Skull.
And I'm Laura Thompson.
We will see everyone next week for episode 119. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.